Taba Zengo grabbed the blue flame sword in his hands tighter. He used Blade Cry Tiger Roar and blue energy in the shape of a huge tiger hit the ground. Temptress asked about him getting serious from the start. She said that it looks like the blood lion form is making him high again, making him impulsive and irritable. Taba Zengo turned around and told her not to just stand there and watch, because he could easily hit Lingxi. He said there was a very high chance that he was behind her. The dark silhouette of the main character appeared behind her. He swung his dagger, but Temptress blocked the blow. A stream of blue energy appeared above Lingxi's head. Blue energy hit the ground and he dodged. Taba Zengo gave command to Temptress. Temptress asked if he was calling her now. She exclaimed that she was getting excited. She used Whiplash and the whip of pink energy tore Lingxi in half. The main character used Evil Spirit Invincibility. Taba Zengo closed his eyes and told him that it was he who helped him understand how he should feel the Kai of his blade, which is why he spent so much time training. He opened his eyes and shouted, "Today, before my new blade intent realm." Waves of blue energy fell from the air above Lingxi, who was shrouded in a purple aura. The system notified that Evil Spirit Invincibility has been seen through. Taba Zengo shouted that he had nowhere else to run. A huge explosion occurred in the forest. Temptress thought in surprise that Taba Zengo was actually able to remain calm in blood lion form. He was surrounded by blue and yellow energy and she thought he had become stronger. With a wave of his dagger, Lingxi agreed. Dispelling the cloud of dust with a wave of his dagger, he said that compared to how he was before, he had become much more interesting. Smiling, he said that, unfortunately, at the moment he is much stronger. The strong impact raised a huge cloud of dust, scattering stone fragments to the side. Inbito was hiding around the corner of a stone wall. Smirking, he said that he really couldn't underestimate him. Looking at the huge Knight of the Glorious, he said that he was indeed level 120 Lord level power. Inbito pushed off the ground. Rushing to attack, he swung his hand, shrouded in red energy, and said that this was interesting. He hit the ground with force, leaving cracks in it. The knight appeared behind him, swinging his sword. Inbito grinned. An explosion thundered, scattering stones. Streams of blue energy hit the ground with force. The main character ran forward, dodging every attack. Taba Zengo, holding his blue flaming sword forward, thought that it was very fast. Frowning, he thought that even if he used all of his blade Kai, he still couldn't keep up. Swinging his sword, he thought that he was coming, and this was not his clone. The main character swung a dagger shrouded in dark energy. The blue energy and Lingxi's hand were rapidly approaching each other. Lingxi stabbed Taba Zengo's body with a dagger. Coughing up blood, Taba Zengo thought that he couldn't keep up with his speed. He clenched his teeth forcefully. He used Seizing Blade One Strike of Gathering and stood up. Blue energy gathered in the air above him. Taba Zengo's eyes glowed white and he said that this was his new realization. He told him to take this blow into which he would put his full strength. A massive stream of blue energy was approaching the main character. His eye glowed purple and he thought it was very good. Shrouded in black energy, Lingxi thought that this time he really felt it. He thought it was the genius of his previous life, the #1 blade user, Blood Lion Zengo's true blade intent. Swinging the dagger shrouded in purple energy, the protagonist dissipated the blue energy around him. Zengo, standing empty-handed, thought that his blade intent had lost again. Lingxi appeared in front of him in a jump, swinging a dagger. Temptress called out to Zengo in concern. Zengo disappeared, shrouded in blue pixels. The system reported that its teammate was killed. Temptress frowned in shock. Lingxi looked up and saw a huge pink magic circle. Temptress used Charmed Shadow Whip formation. Pink energy projectiles were fired at the protagonist from a magic circle. The main character dodged every attack using top time. There was an optical interface on his eye, and he thought he can see it. Lingxi thought that he saw the energy supporting the succubus form. He extended his black hand forward. Temptress opened her eyes in fear. The main character thought that he saw her weak points. The system reported that succubus form was released. The energy around Temptress dissipated, stripping her of her clothing. A little blood sprayed from her mouth. Lingxi said with a grin that he would let her live. He told her to go back and tell Kyujin Shin to wash his neck and wait for him because he was coming for his head. Many people walked on the ground. Coming out of the forest, they were greeted by the bright light of the sun. The battle raged around the fortress. Archers and magicians fired at magical barriers. Swordsmen in armor ran to attack. The battlefield was shrouded in smoke. One of the warriors told Tiana that the enemy troops were too numerous, and Vice Guildmasters Stillwaters and Coco Lee are being overwhelmed by Thousand Autumn's forces at the northern line too. He asked when they would use the defenses they had prepared. Tiana ordered the magical troops to continue deploying defensive walls according to the rehearsed method. Looking into the distance, she said that Thousand Autumns still has the majority of their forces in their rear, and it looks like they're probing them. She said to wait a little longer until Thousand Autumns thought they only had defensive tactics. Narrowing her eyes, she said that when they used their full powers to launch a massive attack, their opportunity to counterattack would come. She ordered to persevere. The main character flashed among the foliage of the trees, looking at the dialogue box. He thought that it looked like Night of the Glorious was being held back by Enbedo at Thousand Autumns Base B, which was good because now there was one less person who could interfere with him. Lengxi thought that the current Night of the Glorious should be enough to deal with Enbedo. Frowning, he thought that only the last target remained, Kyujin Shin. Looking down, he suddenly opened his eyes. Jae-run dodged the armored man's attack. The armored man asked what a simple level 81 thief was doing on this battlefield. He asked if he was the assassin sent from Penumbra. He asked if this was so, isn't it too funny? And does Penumbra have no people at all, since they sent such garbage? Swinging his flaming sword, the guy shouted that it would send him to his grave. Lengxi's dark silhouette appeared behind him. One blow of purple energy struck the guy down, and the main character calmly said that the one who would go to the grave was him. Jae-run exclaimed happily. Lengxi asked why he was here. Some time later, he asked that he wanted to meet Xiao Lan. He asked if he hadn't told him to wait patiently at the guild while he dealt with Thousand Autumns. Jae-run sadly said that although he says so, it's not that simple. The main character asked if he was hiding something from him. Jae-run, with his head down, said that he promised Xiao Lan that he would talk about it, and for this promise they were very determined. Clenching a trembling fist, he said he was worried about her. Lengxi asked if even he, the man who declared war against Thousand Autumns for their sake, really shouldn't know about this. He said that he's just afraid that they won't be able to control the situation later, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the game. He added that he believes that anti-mainstream probably doesn't want them to suffer like he did either. Jae-run gritted his teeth and said something about Xiao Lan. The main character opened his mouth in shock. Kyujin Shin, standing in the pillared stone ruins, said that he had arrived. He said that this was the most important moment of the guild war, and if something happened, he could just send him a message instead of forcing him to run here. His interlocutor said that he had several things that he should give him personally. Squinting his eyes, Kyujin Shin asked about things. The man whose face was covered with metal said that the family considers this guild war to be very important, and he should know better about it than an ordinary messenger like him. He said that this was a war over whether guild number could continue to have absolute power in Heavenland. He said that at the moment in the real world resource dominance in several mainstream games are monopolized by guilds backed by the family group. The envoy said that the only exception is Heavenland. He said that since the rise of Penumbra, Thousand Autumns' momentum has been getting weaker and weaker. He said that, with the first phase of the guild war ending in Thousand Autumns' defeat at the Fuse, public opinion has started to lean towards Penumbra's side. The envoy said that if this continues, it will be very detrimental to their group interests. That's why no mishaps are allowed in this second phase of the guild war. He said that if he fails again, he is confident that he, as the spokesperson of Thousand Autumns, can guess what will happen in the end. The envoy said that this is why the family will provide him with better support from behind the scenes, and they have already conducted a detailed investigation. He said that in order to create such a situation, the biggest trump card in Penumbra's hands should be their guildmaster, Lengxi. The messenger said that Above wants to deal with him in the real world. Kyujin Shin asked if he wanted to deal with the players, since it was against the rules. The envoy said that there was such a plan, but even in the real world they could not find any information about it. He said that this player is very mysterious, as if he is hidden on purpose. Kyujin Shin shouted that he didn't need the help of their tricks and Thousand Autumns would definitely win this time. The messenger asked if this was so. He said that according to what he knew, they only had 2 bases left, while the enemy had only sent 1 man. Kyujin Shin clicked his tongue and said that he would personally go into battle, use his full power, and win this war. The messenger, while pressing keys on the interface, said that this was a little help from the family for this guild war, and his goal was to give it to him. Kyujin Shin looked in amazement at the dialogue box that appeared in front of him. The main character asked in amazement about the artifact purchased on the black market. Jae-run said yes, and they used the money he gave them after the first phase of the guild war to buy it and decided to use it for revenge. Lengxi said that the black market artifact means exactly what the name suggests, items that are prohibited in the game, and they are all made by unrecognized hacker players though unjust methods. He said that they would destroy the balance of the game, so they are absolutely prohibited from being used. He asked if he knew the consequences if Heavenland discovered them. Jae-run said, account ban. He said that they all knew the consequences, but their opponent is Thousand Autumn's guildmaster, and in order to avenge anti-mainstream, they, ordinary players, can only resort to such methods. He said that Xiao Lan decided to bear it alone. Ling Si was silent for a moment. The guy on the cart asked Kyujin Shin what they would do next. Kyujin Shin ordered all guild members who could still fight to hurry to the front line, because there was no point in worrying about the rear. He orders a full-scale attack. The guy asked what about him. The main character told Jae-run to quickly go and meet Xiao Lan and tell her what he told him. Ling Si and Kyujin Shin said that the meeting point was base. A huge troops with catapults surrounded the fortress, protected by a magical barrier. The guy told Tiana that they were going to launch a full-scale attack. Tiana said that it looked like Thousand Autumns finally couldn't bear it anymore. She grinned smugly. Stillwaters said that Thousand Autumn's troops are advancing and it is time to use the defensive weapons she has arranged. Tiana raised her hand and ordered the magical troops to stop the defensive magic. Cannons appeared within the walls of the fortress. Tiana shouted, "City wall defensive measures. Open, counterattack." The fortress cannons opened fire, striking the troops with fireballs. Enbito waved red energy. Knight of the Glorious charged. There was an explosion and they jumped to the sides. Enbito said that he was much more troublesome than he expected, and he even gave Kyujin Shin a guarantee that he would be able to protect Base B. But now everything has turned into rubble. He said it looked like he would be scolded when he returned. Grinning, he said that he was very difficult to deal with, and he was not mistaken. He said that he was indeed the one who summoned Ling Si. Enbito asked how he was able to reach the maximum level with his summon in such a short time. He said it's impossible for their Thousand Autumns leveling resources to be behind him. He shouted that he couldn't understand it and demanded that he tell him because he really wanted to know. Enbito asked if he was mute. Knight of the Glorious said that he had no duty to answer to anyone other than his master. The wind lifted dust from the ground under the feet of the protagonist. He came to Thousand Autumn's base. The base was quiet. The tower window was empty. There was no one on the fortress walls either. Ling Si thought that there were no guards here. He wondered if it was a trap. Kyujin Shin, standing above, said that he had arrived. He said that Temptress was humiliated by him quite miserably. Frowning, he called out Ling Si's name. The protagonist asked if he was trying to use the empty fort strategy. He said that he would not fall for this trick and would not run away. Kyujin Shin asked if he knew that this base was the last line of defense created specifically to counter Penumbra. He said that its position should have been directly opposite Penumbra's forward base. Pointing to the cannons, Kyujin Shin said that these weapons were meant to be used against them. He said that, however, they did not expect that he would dare to come and challenge Thousand Autumns alone, and these guns were no longer needed. Ling Si apologized with a smile for ruining his wishful thinking. He said that he could only blame himself for losing to them in the first phase of the guild war. Kyujin Shin said that he did not need to show off, and since he chose to give up the defense here, he had already sent all his troops to the front line. He said that he really wanted to see if the base could hold out against a Thousand Autumns attack at full force without him. The main character said that this was indeed a wise choice. A dagger appeared in his hand and he said that, unfortunately, he was very confident in Tiana's base defense preparations. He added that he will get rid of it very soon and this war will end soon. Kyujin Shin's eyes widened in anger. Looking at the glowing blue ball of energy, the troops exclaimed that they were cannonballs. The sphere exploded with electricity, and the troops fled in different directions. Tiana said that these are not ordinary cannonballs, and they have been installing them since the first phase of the Guild War until now. She said that they're all purchased lightning element cannonballs, and even if it doesn't hit, it can spread the lightning element to paralyze opponents by understanding the speed of the enemy army on the battlefield. She said that since the price of these cannonballs was too high, their quantity was limited and she was just waiting for them to attack with full power. Tiana said that this way she can get the most out of these cannonballs, while the enemy's speed is reduced. She ordered the magical troops to all-out attacks. The guy in the armor ordered warriors troops to rearrange formation and to defend against their magic attacks. He ordered to protect the siege weapons and destroy their walls while they don't have magic barriers. A silhouette appeared above their head. Tilly's smashed the catapult with a blow from her staff. Tiana asked her if she wasn't defending the southern line of defense along with Ryuko and Dark Feather. Tilly's said that, thanks to the weapons she prepared in advance, their defense line is under no pressure, and Ryuko can wreak havoc by himself now. She said that Dark Feather and she went to help north and here, where the enemy troops were concentrated. Smiling, she said only such a number of enemy troops can make her excited to kill. Violet energy enveloped the troops on the ground. The main character and Kyujin Shin stood in a circular arena. Ling Si asked if this was the cemetery he had chosen. Hyujin Shin said that this is a graveyard reserved for Ling Si even if he is a max level player. The main character was holding 2 daggers in his hands with a grin. Hyujin Shin said that he could not change the fate of defeat. Ling Si asked if this was true. Using elemental transformation Thunder Flash, he quickly closed the distance and asked if his little playing cards told him so. The main character, shrouded in purple energy, raised his hand to attack. A cloud of dust rose above the arena. Hyujin Shin said that being a mage, against a thief like him, he is really at a disadvantage in terms of speed. Surrounded by a magical barrier, he said that possessing warrior-like defensive attributes gave him an advantage against a thief like him. Noticing the sigil on his head, Ling Si thought of dual profession specialization. He thought that he never expected that he could achieve this too. The protagonist thought that this was not surprising, because although he never had the chance to meet the mysterious Hyujin Shin, he remembers seeing on the news that he had become the head of a guild with the profession of a warrior. He thought that Hyujin Shin became a magician in this life, and never thought that he was hiding his specialty as a warrior. He thought that this explained why, despite being a mage, he could exhibit such comprehensive attributes in the first phase of the guild war, and he actually hid his own ability so deeply. Ling Si thought that this was the scheme of the guild master of the number 1 guild, Hyujin Shin. Hyujin Shin asked him if he could see it. He said that he is not really that special, and he is not the only player with dual profession specialization. Hyujin Shin asked if he really thought that he could single-handedly kill the entire Thousand Autumns guild, replace the number 1 guild and challenge the entire game. He said that he was only able to get this far because of his luck. Frowning, he said that the backside of this non-world is not something that he can easily touch, and today it will stop his steps. The main character, grinning, said that this was interesting. Shrouded in dark energy, he said that perhaps, as he said, good luck contributed to him, but he would describe his luck as an ambition to reach the top. Smiling confidently, he said that he wanted to challenge the world he was talking about. Stillwaters shouted to Coco Lee not to run too far, and it would be enough if she stopped them from breaking the walls. Coco Lee, shooting her bow, obeyed. Stillwaters told Darkfeather to try and destroy their siege weapons. Shrouded in yellow energy, he said to leave their HP on him and hold off their attack. An explosion occurred on the battlefield. A drone with a lens was visible nearby. On the dialogue box there was a post written by a girl reporter, in which it was written that the guild war had reached its climax. Dialogue boxes appeared above people in the city. They looked at the dialogue boxes in front of them. The girl reporter exclaimed that all players in Heavenland are paying attention to this war. Wasabi appeared behind her and agreed. The girl asked why he continued to stalk her and if he wanted to steal her reporting materials. Wasabi told her not to worry because he is not interested in her reports. On the contrary, he wants to share reliable information with her. The girl reporter asked what information. Wasabi asked if she noticed that at the moment the troops of the 2 guilds are engaged in an all-out siege battle, but the guild masters of both guilds did not appear on the battlefield. He said that if they took part, their forces would be more than enough to influence the situation of the battle. Wasabi said with a grin that the real big news wasn't here. He said that he would tell her the coordinates, and she would go there and report it. He said that their duel would determine the fate of this guild war. The main character and Hyujin Shin rushed to attack. Ling Si was holding a dagger in his hand that was shrouded in purple energy, and Hyujin Shin's hand was a sword made of green energy. Swinging their weapons, they struck each other with equal force. The main character, surrounded by purple electricity, used elemental transformation plus extreme speed thunder flash. Hyujin Shin raised his sword above his head, deflecting the attacks. He thought the speed was amazing. He used warrior specialization passive, true intent shield. Surrounded by a magical barrier, Hyujin Shin thought that he could not catch it, and such a fierce attack would sooner or later break through his shield. A playing card appeared in his hand. Several playing cards flew out of the magic barrier. Playing cards stuck into the ground around the arena. Hyujin Shin used Myriad Heaven and Earth and a blue dome surrounded the arena. Ling Si, noticing the increase in Hyujin Shin's defense, thought it was an energy field. A playing card shrouded in green energy appeared between them. The value of the card was 3. Using 3 of Sunflower's magic cannon, he fired a stream of green energy. The main character dodged. He thought that although he didn't feel any debuff effects, it seems to have a strong buffing effect on him. Hyujin Shin said, "Looks like his luck destiny is here." The main character exclaimed that these were cards with large numbers. Hyujin Shin used 10 of Sunflower's instant double stab, and 2 blobs of blue energy appeared in the air. He used Queen of Blocks, Hunting Windstorm, and a vortex of green energy appeared. He used 10 of Plums, Endless Imprisonment, and walls of flames appeared on the ground. Kyujin Shin hit the main character with 3 spells at the same time. Ling Si thought, he can't escape this skill's density even if he uses Evil Spirit Invincibility. Frowning, he thought that all he could do was tank it. The main character used Body of Chaotic Turmoil Plus and rose upward on a whirlwind of water, fire, and electricity. Kyujin Shin told him to show him all his skills. Ling Si pushed off from the arena wall. His jump left a dent in the wall. The main character was behind him. Kyujin Shin said that he couldn't help but praise his speed. The cards stuck into the ground were shrouded in green energy. Kyujin Shin used Myriad Heaven and Earth again. His defense increased and he said, it's almost instantaneous. The main character hit the magic barrier with a dagger. Kyujin Shin said that, unfortunately, they are in his energy field. Swinging his sword of green energy, he said that he could not break his warrior specialization defense. Ling Si thought that this dual profession specialization really took him by surprise. He thought about that all-inclusive high-attack magic skill added with such a perverted defense. The main character thought that Kyujin Shin is truly a monster-like player. He looked around, surrounded by playing cards. Opening his eyes in amazement, he thought that these were all cards with large numbers. Ling Si used the Open the Sky skill and a giant sword appeared on the battlefield. He said that it was a terrifying magic skill, and if he had not pulled out his weapon and blocked the damage in time, there was a high chance that he would have been killed instantly by his big numbers skill. Standing on a huge sword, he said that he seemed to be having good luck today. Kyujin Shin laughingly said that he had seriously collected combat information about him and he should be more careful against him, a max-level player. Squinting, he said that his 2 strongest skills, Body of Chaotic Turmoil and Weapon, Open the Sky, had both entered a long cooldown period. Ling Si said that nothing less could be expected from Kyujin Shin's strategy, and he forced him to use his big moves. He said that now he doesn't have great damage skills that can instantly kill him. He said that, however, it was a blessing in disguise. Kyujin Shin looked at him blankly. The main character, smiling broadly, said he had inadvertently revealed to him his energy field Myriad Heaven and Earth, and the weakness of that card skill of his. Advent of 1,000 Autumn's headquarters. The hand grabbed the roof of the building. Longface climbed onto the roof and asked what was going on. He asked if this was 1,000 Autumn's headquarters and if they were mistaken. Xiao Lan said that they finally arrived after painstakingly crossing mountains and ridges. She asked how could she be wrong. Longface asked why he didn't see any players then, and if everyone had been sent to the front lines. He said that in that case, Kyujin Shin might not be here either. Xiao Lan exclaimed, doesn't this mean that he went through all these difficulties for nothing? Longface looked at the dialogue box and said that Jae-Run sent a message. He said that Ling Si and Kyujin Shin are fighting at 1,000 Autumn's base and he wants them to go there too because Ling Si has a plan to help them. He said that if Ling Si could defeat Kyujin Shin, she would no longer need to take the risk of being banned for revenge. Xiao Lan shouted to him to call Jae-Run quickly. She asked if he could hear him. Jae-Run said that he heard her. He told her to quickly go to base because Ling Si challenged 1,000 Autumns this time in order to help them take revenge. He told her not to use her black market artifact impulsively. Xiao Lan told him to listen to her. She told him to go and watch the duel between Ling Si and Kyujin Shin and decide whether Ling Si could truly defeat Kyujin Shin. Jae-Run saw a huge sword appear behind the fortress wall. Kyujin Shin used Queen of Hearts, Ties of Shooting. He then used 9 of Clubs, Annihilating White Storm. He used Jack of Clubs, Tracking Solar Finger. Ling Si ran through the arena, dodging every spell. Kyujin Shin used 7 of Spades, Colored Chrysanthemum. The main character, holding daggers shrouded in purple energy, approached Kyujin Shin. Dodging his sword attack, he struck his magic barrier from above. Kyujin Shin blocked his fireball with a magical barrier. Ling Si said with a grin that his magic attacks can collide with his defense passive, and it seems that he has a defensive advantage. He said that if he didn't destroy this Myriad Heaven and Earth energy field, he wouldn't be able to damage it. Kyujin Shin frowned and told him not to think that he didn't notice that he wanted to deplete his magic cards. Looking at him, he said that he seemed to understand how his skill worked. Ling Si replied that he had already said that he had found a weakness in his skill, and now he was just more confident about it. He said that from start to finish, he never used the same card twice, and no matter how special his skill is, Heavenland is still a game that does not have invulnerability skills. The main character said that a deck of playing cards only has 54 cards, which is the limit of his skill, after which he will enter a long cooldown period. Looking ahead seriously, Kyujin Shin thought that he had realized it. Ling Si said that there is only one thing he still doesn't understand. He thought why he always gets cards with big numbers. He thought that Kyujin Shin had not been so lucky before, and with his current luck, he could truly be called invulnerable. Kyujin Shin asked so what if he understood how his skill worked. 3 playing cards appeared in front of him, a 9 and 2 kings. He said they would see how long he could hold out. Flames and green energy hit the ground around the main character. A silhouette flashed through the window of a stone building. Jae-run, going upstairs, thought that this duel was very intense. Zio-lan asked what the situation was. Jae-run said that he just arrived. He looked at the arena in amazement. Looking at the arena shrouded in flames and smoke, he said that it was like a battlefield. Jae-run said that he sees Ling-si. Above his head you can see that he has half his health left. He said that Ling-si is at a disadvantage. Kyujin Shin said that if he wasn't at the maximum level, he would have been in his grave a long time ago. He said that he would only give him one chance if he promised that Penumbra would become part of Thousand Autumns, still the most powerful guild in Heavenland. Smirking, he said that he was ready to co-manage the guild with him, and both of them would own the rights to the guild. Kyujin Shin said that this was the best choice for him. He said he really admired him. He asked not to force him to kill his entire guild after he killed him, because then he would no longer have a chance to negotiate. The main character, grinning, said that he was more cunning than he thought. He said that from what he sees, he is trying to get him to give up before he runs out of high number cards. Ling-si asked if he wanted to run the guild with him. He said that, unfortunately, the main purpose for which he started the second phase of the guild war was not to replace his guild, but to take revenge on him. Frowning, Kyujin Shin asked what he meant by revenge. Rushing into the attack, the main character, shrouded in dark energy, said he will find out. Kyujin Shin gritted his teeth and told him to stop acting so mysterious. Looking down, he clicked his tongue. He used 5 of Here's Magic Fury Scatter Shot. A green magic circle appeared in front of him, shooting green magic projectiles. The main character, grinning, said that, as he thought, even if he is bursting with luck, he runs out of cards with high numbers. He used maze control and a purple mist surrounded them. Ling-si thought that he had finally reached the point where his luck had run out, but he could not attack his defenses directly. He thought that he should take advantage of the gap when he uses his skill and destroy the energy field. The optical interface appeared on his eye. The main character thought that when he used Open the Sky, the human king's energy from the skill filled the area for a short period of time, and he felt it being interrupted by another energy in some corners. As he cut the playing cards with his daggers, he thought that although it was only a moment, his instincts told him that these were barrier cards for Myriad Heaven and Earth. The dialogue box says, Myriad Heaven and Earth energy field is being destroyed. Kyujin Shin exclaimed that this was impossible, because his Myriad Heaven and Earth were hidden. The dialogue box says, Myriad Heaven and Earth, Dual Profession Specialization Exclusive Area Skill releases 4 hidden cards in the mage form to activate an area energy field to increase the passive defensive power of the warrior form. The greater the number of the card, the greater the increase in defensive power. Strikes of magical energy disperse the purple fog. The dialogue box says, maze control was broken through by a large amount of skills. Kyujin Shin asked how he found them. The main character, dodging streams of magical energy with the help of Top Time, cut another playing card and said that he saw them. Kyujin Shin exclaimed in shock, sweating nervously. The dialogue box says, Myriad Heaven and Earth skill has been completely destroyed. There is no increase in defense in the area anymore. Ling-si said that he had already calculated, and there were only a few high number cards left in his hand, and he no longer had the huge defense increase from Myriad Heaven and Earth. Smiling confidently, he said that he could only return to the form of a little magician who is at his mercy. A mechanical dragonfly flew over the rocks. The girl reporter said that it should be here, and the coordinates that the red guy showed her should be in front of her. She said, looking at the dialogue box, that the heads of the 2 guilds left their troops and dueled each other in order to decide the outcome of the guild war. She said it was a bit childish. Frowning, the girl exclaimed that because of him, she had to abandon the battlefield and come here, and if this red guy dared to lie to her, she would reveal his gaming information. Flying over the arena full of smoke, she wondered if it was here. Opening his eyes in amazement, the girl reporter exclaimed that it was Kyujin Shin and Ling-si, and that red guy didn't lie to her. The protagonist and Kyujin Shin exchanged blows and she exclaimed that this was big news. Kyujin Shin gritted his teeth under the onslaught of the protagonist's attacks. Ling-si asked why he seemed so weak after he lost the defense boost from Myriad Heaven and Earth. 2 playing cards appeared in front of Kyujin Shin's hand, 2 and 4. He used 2 of hearts, fireworks over the sky and 4 of diamonds, 100 hunting vines. The main character dodged the attacks. He asked with a smile why he was still shooting fireworks since the spring festival was already over. Jae-run watched the fireworks sparkle over the arena. He said that Ling-Si had always been at a disadvantage earlier, but now he had turned the tables. He said that their movements were too fast and he could not see the situation clearly at all. Xiao Lan told him to keep updating her on the situation. Longface told her that she heard it too, and Ling-Si could compete with Kyujin Shin. He said that, with them plotting against Kyujin Shin, it's very likely they can take revenge, and they should rush over immediately. Xiao Lan told him to be quiet. Peering around the corner, she said that there were NPC guards here, and if they were careful, they could be easily avoided. Longface asked what's the point of them continuing to infiltrate since Kyujin Shin is not here. Xiao Lan said that the situation here is unclear, and Ling-Si may not be able to defeat Kyujin Shin. She said that if Ling-Si lost, it would be very difficult for them to plot against Kyujin Shin considering how unprepared they were. She said that just in case Ling-Si couldn't defeat Kyujin Shin, they could at least set a trap here. Turning around, Xiao Lan said that revenge for anti-mainstream is their war, and they must do it with their own hands. Kyujin Shin fired a beam of green energy from a magic circle. Ling-Si deftly dodged his attack. Kyujin Shin, gritting his teeth, thought that he could not maintain the opening advantage, and now the small number cards are useless against him. The main character stabbed him with a dagger, leaving a trail of purple energy. Kyujin Shin jumped back and thought that if this continued, he would lose sooner or later. He remembered the messenger. Frowning, he wondered if he would actually have to use it. Ling-Si jumped into the attack and asked if he had more strength to resist him. Gritting his teeth desperately, Kyujin Shin thought that he had forced him. A cloud of dust rose above the arena. The main character exclaimed in confusion. Frowning, he thought something was wrong. A pillar of green energy rose up. Ling-Si thought that this strange energy had dot. He used Shadow Ambush, enveloping himself in purple energy. A sphere of purple energy appeared in the arena. Jae-run asked what's with these successive shocks. The reporter girl exclaimed that she had just landed. She asked what this enormous energy was. The column of green energy slowly dissipated. Kyujin Shin said, "As you wish." He said that he himself forced him to use his last trump card. The symbol on his head turned red and he said that now they could only fight to the death. Pointing his staff forward, he said that there was no more room for negotiations. The main character thought that it turns out he still had some tricks left, but fortunately he opened up this space and avoided the AoE damage. He thought about the unpredictable poker skill, the attack and defense attributes of the dual profession specialization and this never-before-seen weapon. Ling-Si thought that his high-level skill was also almost over, and Kyujin Shin was indeed stronger than he expected. He looked in amazement at the dialogue box in front of him. The dialogue box says, "Unable to identify weapon information." The main character thought that there was no data about this weapon in the system. Looking ahead, he thought that even if it is a hidden weapon, its basic information should be identified the moment it appears, and judging by the power of the skill that was just released, its grade should be about the same as his mythic grade Ethereal Ghost Blade. Kyujin Shin's eyes glowed green. Ling-Si thought that this weapon was somehow strange. He looked at the staff with an optical interface, which returned only identification errors. He realized in amazement that even his title skill couldn't analyze it. Kyujin Shin began to rise above the ground. Surrounded by a whirlwind of golden energy, he shouted, "Come to your death." He used Golden Explosive Binding Halo. Rings of golden energy hit the ground. Golden Explosive Binding Halo. After binding, the halo will produce a violent explosion. If bound by 3 or more halos, the produced explosion is enough to kill the bound player. Flames enveloped the daggers in the hands of the protagonist. He used Elemental Transformation Plus, Fire Rock Heat Wave. Golden rings of energy struck the stones. Red energy enveloped the Kyujin Shin staff. The main character flashed in the air, dodging attacks. Kyujin Shin's eyes glowed red, covered in pixels. He used Predetermined Judgment. 2 huge hands made of red energy appeared behind the protagonist's back. Turning sharply, he was amazed to think that his next move had been predicted. A huge explosion was visible from beyond the walls of the arena. Black Market Item, Artifact, Game Value Amplifier. Kyujin Shin said that this is the legendary Black Market artifact and he does not have any item information. The envoy said that while they were in Heavenland, they could not see the information of Black Market items, so he came in person to explain to him. He said that he has a special derived Mage of Destiny profession, and this artifact was made personally for him by his family. He said that he was created to compensate for the shortcomings of his skills, and although he is the #1 guild leader in the game, The family knows full well that he is not the strongest. Kyujin Shin remained silent with a gloomy face. The envoy said that even if he has certain particularity as a player, he should be well aware of the amount of resources that the family has given him over all this time. He said that the family discovered talent in that little magician, shrouded in mystery, who had just awakened his derived profession Mage of Destiny back then, and in order to make him stronger, they forced him to awaken again. He said that this is how he became the current Mage Warrior dual profession specialization. The envoy said his level, his resources, his guild, all of this was prepared for him by his family behind the scenes. He said the investment that went into it was quite large. He said that this is why he absolutely cannot lose. Kyujin Shin pursed his lips in tension. The envoy said that after they analyzed the first phase of the guild war, they decided to strengthen the weak points of his skills, and the main drawback of a Mage of Destiny is luck, so this amplifier can change a part of the data's probability when equipped. He said that he would have an increased chance of getting high number cards with his skill, and without a doubt, this would greatly increase his power. He said, after consecutively using big number cards, he believes no player in the entire Heavenland can survive it. Kyujin Shin frowned and said that using this method entails the risk of management detecting it and banning his account. The messenger told him not to worry about it, because unless he equipped and used it, the chance of the item being discovered was extremely small. He said that if he really uses this black market artifact, he should end the battle very quickly. He said that the longer the battle goes on, the stronger the boost becomes, and the higher the chance of being detected becomes, and if he is detected, he will be banned. Kyujin Shin thought that this would be an unrecoverable and annihilating blow. He thought that with the health he had left, even if he was level 120, he won't be able to take his lock on magic False Judgment. False Judgment, lock on magic. The locked on target will receive God's judgment, attacks with damage twice the caster's own attributes. COOLDOWN time, 24 hours. Kyujin Shin's eyes glowed green and he thought that everything would end here. Ling Xi's silhouette was visible in the dissipating cloud of dust. His health was close to zero, but he was alive. Kyujin Shin's eyes widened in shock. He thought he still had 1 HP left. The main character, being in awakened form, said that he wanted to try tanking his skill, and it looks like he was too overconfident. He said with a smile that luckily he stopped time before his health dropped to zero. Kyujin Shin wondered what this form was. Knight of the Glorious raised his sword, shrouded in black energy. Inbito asked in amazement what was going on. He asked why his energy suddenly became stronger. With his eyes flashing, the knight rushed to the attack, swinging his huge sword. Zio Lan asked Jae-Run what the battle situation was like. Jae-Run admiringly tried to find words. A purple flash flashed in the air. He said that he was completely suppressing Kyujin Shin. Ling Xi's attack cut Kyujin Shin's cheek. The main character dealt quick and numerous blows to his magical barrier. Kyujin Shin thought that he felt that his actions, speed and power had increased significantly. He wondered why this was happening and what was wrong with his form, since he had never seen anything like it. Ling Xi said that he knows that he is very shocked by his current form, and he did not want to use this form to win at the very beginning because he would feel as if he was bullying him. Smiling, he said that it seemed like he was thinking too much and he had to admit that he was a strong opponent as his various forms, weapons and skills forced him to use it. Kyujin Shin used Golden Explosive Binding Halo. The main character deftly dodged the golden rings of energy. A vein popped out on Kyujin Shin's face and he thought that his speed of action had already reached a level where he couldn't catch him. Ling Xi asked if his eyes could keep up with his actions. Leaving a trail of purple energy behind him, he moved behind his opponent. He grabbed his dagger tightly. The main character struck Kyujin Shin on the back with a dagger. Kyujin Shin gritted his teeth and blood gushed out from his shoulder. He used Golden Explosive Binding Halo again, and golden rings of energy hit the ground. A cloud of dust rose above the arena. The main character asked him what happened. He asked if he had started randomly casting skills. Kyujin Shin, holding his shoulder, thought that he had been using the black market artifact for too long, and he couldn't let this battle drag on any longer. He thought that he only had 1 HP left. 3 magic circles appeared in front of him and he said that he couldn't believe that he couldn't hit them again. The main character grinned confidently. Shrouded in electricity, he dodged the yellow, blue and red streams of energy. He said that he was doing something nonsense again. He said that he would teach him how to play this game. The reporter girl exclaimed that this was impressive and very big news. She said that she doesn't know if she can clearly record their attacks, but the whole of Heavenland will see that Guildmaster Kyujin Shin of the number 1 guild Advent of 1,000 Autumns being so passive in front of Penumbra's Guildmaster Ling Xi who has only 1 HP. Using Backstab Plus, the protagonist said that although skill output is very important for a mage, he relies too much on his skills. He used Kick Plus. Lingxi said that he is ignoring the importance of game controls. Standing in front of him, he said that he was lost in the so-called strongest equipment and magic, and these were not the qualities of a player that the #1 guild leader should have. He asked if he, the one who constantly monopolized the game's resources, could feel the fun of the game. Kyujin Shin opened his mouth. He thought that for him, a person for whom everything was prepared, levels, equipment, dungeons, all these were things that he took for granted. He thought about the joy he felt when he first started playing the game. The main character with an ominous smile said that the time for his revenge has come. He said that the one who takes his life will not be him. The guy in armor asked in shock if this broadcast was real. Looking at the huge dialogue box, he said that this is the #1 guildmaster of the guild. The messenger, looking at the interface, said the black market artifact still has a final insurance, and he's already prepared for the worst case scenario. Thanking you for your concern, he said goodbye. His eye glowed red under the metal and he thought that nothing had changed and he would have to clean up after it like always. He thought that he was disappointed and Kyujin Shin was trash. Hugh Zioe looked at the dialogue box with delight. Sawyer and Squirrel watched nervously. Blue Cloud said there was only one hit left. He said that Penumbra, who they bet on, will replace Thousand Autumns and become the #1 guild. Kyujin Shin, eyes wide in shock, asked what he was talking about. The main character, looking at the roof of the arena, said about revenge against him. The girl reporter asked is Thousand Autumns guildmaster already at his wit's end. He told the audience not to leave because they would soon find out everything. Kyujin Shin asked why they were being broadcast live. He said that no one should have known about their duel. He asked Lingxi if it was him and why he did it. The protagonist said that he did this to let the entire Heavenland observe the fate of this war, and although this is not his style, he is not the protagonist this time. He said whether he does it or not doesn't matter. Kyujin Shin asked what he meant. The main character told someone to come out. Kyujin Shin clenched his teeth and turned around. He said that he was one of those 4 from the first phase of the guild war. J-Run, holding a blue dagger in his hand, said that as he expected, he remembers them. Some time ago, J-Run was surprised to find a message from Lingxi. He asked if he wasn't fighting Kyujin Shin and when he could find the time to send him a message. The message from Lingxi read, J-Run, no need to wait for Zio Land to come. Land the final blow after I reduce Kyujin Shin's HP until there is very little left. This way, it will be counted as if they have avenged anti-mainstream, and he will take care of everything that happens after that. J-Run said that even if he can't do anything to him in real life, they still need to avenge anti-mainstream in the game world. Kyujin Shin thought about reality, anti-mainstream and revenge. Remembering the envoy who talked about the plan to deal with Lingxi in real life, he wondered if they had done something again. J-Run shouted at him not to think that he can do whatever he wants in Heavenland because he is the #1 guildmaster, and that he can hurt the lives of others at will. Kyujin Shin asked if a little thing like him really thought he could kill him. A black hand grabbed his wrist. He turned around in fear. The main character stood behind him. He told him to just accept his death obediently. J-Run, swinging his dagger, shouted that even they, ordinary players, have a sense of dignity. Kyujin Shin turned around sharply. J-Run stabbed him with a dagger. Blood sprayed. J-Run said that he had already made his decision. He said that he doesn't care what monopolists like him do to him in the future, as long as Zio Land doesn't have to get banned in order to kill him. He said that they can explain themselves to anti-mainstream, and with this result, Kyujin Shin's health has dropped to 0. People in the square, looking at the huge holographic screen, asked who this thief was. Someone asked if Kyujin Shin would fall by his hand. He said it was impossible. He asked if the guildmaster of guild number would really die at the hands of a thief who appeared out of nowhere. The broadcast suddenly stopped. People in the crowd asked what happened to the screen and why the live broadcast ended. The main character's dagger was stabbed into a robot with a camera. The female reporter exclaimed in shock. Lingxi told her to calm down because he would compensate her for his robot later. The girl exclaimed that her camera robot was very expensive. The main character thought that there was no need for live broadcast anymore, and the scene of J-Run killing Kyujin Shin was already recorded on live broadcast. He thought that now it would be easier for him to deal with the problems of the foolish quartet. He stopped abruptly, eyes wide. Lingxi wondered why Kyujin Shin's body still hadn't disappeared. Kyujin Shin thought that his fate had not lied to him, and the prediction he made about Lingxi before fighting him. He is still a king. He thought that this was why he activated the final insurance on the black market artifact. The main character shouted to J-Run to get away from Kyujin Shin. A vortex of green energy surrounded Kyujin Shin. Kyujin Shin thought that he used a black market artifact to change his HP data. He thought that since the beginning of the duel, he had hidden a small amount of his health, and this allowed him to survive one attack that would have reduced him to 0 HP. After getting up from the ground, he thought that he was originally going to use it for Ling Xi's max level one-shot skills, and he didn't expect that he would have to use it on this little thief. Raising his hand, Kyujin Shin shouted that all ordinary players are just a bunch of ants. He asked why fate was on their side. He used King of Destiny. A joker appeared in his hand. He shouted that he was the guildmaster of the number 1 guild in Heavenland. King of Destiny, Mage of Destiny exclusive finishing move. Obtain a playing card number through the prediction of fate towards the opponent. All playing cards with that number are no longer allowed to be used in this skill cycle. When using a playing card with that number again, the skill King of Destiny will be released. A lock-on magic that releases damage that is 3 times of one's total attributes at the expense of one's own life. Ling Xi thought that this was final lock-on magic. A bright blue sphere of energy gathered in Kyujin Shin's hands. He gritted his teeth, enveloped in yellow electricity. A dialogue box appeared in front of him, and he opened his mouth in amazement. A dialogue box also appeared in front of Ling Xi. A dialogue box appeared in front of each player in the game. The dialogue box says, "Important notice for all servers. Heavenland will be receiving a major update. The game will enter the server updating state in 3 hours." The wood-framed stone ruins were shrouded in smoke. A large blue monster was breaking the stone walls into fragments. Coco Lee commanded the troops. Mages and archers fired at the blue monster from behind. The silhouette of Tilly's appeared above the monster's head. Tilly's hit him with a whirlwind of fiery energy. Stillwaters said that Thousand Autumn's player base is just too large, and since they have already overcome the walls, they will retreat to the camp and reform their defense line. A guy in armor shouted that the walls had been breached. He ordered everyone to attack. Dialogue boxes appeared in front of them and they stopped. Stillwaters and Darkfeather took a look at the dialogue boxes. Heavenland will be receiving a major update. The game will enter the server updating state in 3 hours. Stillwaters asked in amazement that the game would receive an update in 3 hours at this point. He thought that they had decided to upgrade their servers in the midst of a guild war that would determine the future gaming situation in Heavenland. He wondered if this was intervention from management. Stillwaters thought this update was too weird. Ling Xi struck the blue magic barrier with his dagger. He wondered why they decided to update the game at such a time. He wondered if this was the same as telling them to stop the guild war. Kyujin Shin cursed and said that they would die together. A voice from the dialogue box told him that was enough. He told him to retreat while the game was offline, and that was the extent of their interference. The voice told him to listen to his order and retreat, not forgetting that he was using an illegal artifact right now. He asked if he really wanted to be banned. The vein on Kyujin Shin's face bulged with anger. Ling Xi glanced in his direction. There was a bright blue flash of light in front of him. The air swirled around the flash. Kyujin Shin thought that although he didn't want to admit it, fate had chosen him. Ling Xi gritted his teeth. Kyujin Shin, standing in front of the blue portal, told him that they would meet again. He disappeared into the air along with the portal. The girl reporter said that Thousand Autumn's guildmaster didn't die. J-Run said they could just let him go. The main character said that he also has no way to stop him, because, after all, he is a magician. J-Run shouted that if he returned to Thousand Autumn's headquarters, Xiao Lan and Long Face would be safe. Ling Xi opened his mouth in amazement. Thousand Autumn's headquarters. Time until left the game update, 2 hours and 17 minutes. The voice from the dialogue box said Kyujin Shin. They have designed an equipment that can remove the data traces of him using the black market item, and it can disguise the changed data as something like a game bug for management to detect. With this he can avoid being banned. Kyujin Shin asked where the equipment was. The voice said that it was at the level of the church where he usually works. NPC guild guard noticed him. Kyujin Shin asked if Enbito had finished his fight. He said to tell him not to get carried away, and he needed him to return quickly in view of his current situation. He told Temptress to order the troops to retreat. The NPC guard stood behind him, and Kyujin Shin said that since the server would be updated, there was no point in continuing to fight. The guard NPC swung his sword, and Kyujin Shin said that it looked like the second phase of the guild war would end in a draw again. Enbito fought Knight of the Glorious. Temptress told him that the guildmaster was low on HP, and needed him to return to headquarters immediately for protection. Enbito said that he couldn't leave right now, even if he wanted to. Knight of the Glorious jumped into attack, and he said that he didn't expect this huge guy to be so difficult to deal with. Time until left the game update, 1 hour, 21 minutes. NPC guard was thrown out of the building. Green magical projectiles tore through the armor of another guard NPC. Hyujin Shin wondered what was going on. Surrounded by NPC guards, he wondered why they were all betraying him. He jumped, pushing off the floor. Hyujin Shin appeared to be on the side of the NPC guard. He shot green energy at him from a magic circle. A blast of energy knocked him aside. Longface jumped at him from above with a sword in his hand. Hyujin Shin dodged and Longface landed on the floor. Red energy flashed under Hyujin Shin's foot. A blue dome surrounded him. He said in shock that this was data corruption. Xiao Lan said, "I've got you." In her hand was a red crystal, shrouded in red energy. Hyujin Shin thought, that thing has the same data fluctuations as his black market item. He wondered if she was controlling his guild guards. He shouted that she was also using a black market artifact. Xiao Lan frowned and shouted at him to kneel down. Hyujin Shin's eyes widened in shock. He fell to his knees and thought that he could not control his body. Xiao Lan, standing over him, told him to kneel down properly. She told him to let her record a video of him repenting to anti-mainstream. Time until left the game update, 47 minutes. J-Run said that there is not a single Thousand Autumns player in the entire headquarters. The main character said that not only are there no players, but also NPC guards. Pointing to the main building, J-Run said that there were signs of a battle there. Hyujin Shin was on his knees, trembling, unable to move. Xiao Lan shouted at him to repent. Hyujin Shin thought it was the mark on his head. Xiao Lan said that there is no need for senseless resistance, and as long as he has this mark, it can change one intention data in the game. She said, for those NPCs who act as guards, she changed the target of their intention to protect. She said that for him she changed his intention to move. Hyujin Shin said that he doesn't care how she got that cheating item. He asked if she knew the consequences of using a black market item. Xiao Lan asked, account ban. So what? She said that she will just say goodbye to this broken game because Heavenland is not the only game in this world and there are 3 other big games in the market. Hyujin Shin said that she was too naive, because although Heavenland is just a game, its awakened system significantly affects the operation of the real world. He said that society, technology, finance, law and security are all closely related to the game, and using a prohibited item in the game is no different from committing a crime in the real world. He said both leave records that cannot be erased. Xiao Lan gritted her teeth and Hyujin Shin asked if she really thought that she could still go to another game and live a new life. Frowning, he said no, and she would become an outcast from this world. Xiao Lan slapped him in the face and told him to shut up. Frowning, she said that Bigwig who monopolizes resources like him doesn't understand. She said that he didn't understand the feeling of experiencing, growing, accompanying and going through thick and thin together, the feeling of companionship. Hyujin Shin opened his eyes wide, coughing up blood. Xiao Lan said that because they were drawn into the conflict between them, high-level players, anti-mainstream is now lying in a coma in the hospital. Ling Si and J-Run were standing upstairs. Xiao Lan asked how a person like him could understand the feeling of losing a companion. J-Run said that she said everything correctly, but they can't let her get banned for continuing to use a black market item and they have to end it. The main character stopped him and said that it was too late. He thought that compared to the day he first met Xiao Lan, she had changed a lot, and perhaps this was the effect of companions. Hyujin Shin remembered looking at the interface and asking why. He asked why he should delete their friend records. He said that they are his partners, whom he met right after he started playing the game. The man said that these low-end players don't deserve to play with him anymore. He told him to remember his destiny. Hyujin Shin gritted his teeth and the man said that he was the person who would become the #1 guildmaster in Heavenland. He said that he must get rid of all the useless things around him, and from the moment they selected him, he is no longer an ordinary player. He said that after that they helped him select high-end players who were compatible with him to create a team. The man told him to just obediently follow their arrangements. Hyujin Shin thought, back then it was him who gave up on the feeling of companionship. He apologized, bowing his head. He said that because of the dispute they caused in the game, her companion suffered in the real world. He said he was very sorry. Xiao Lan opened her mouth. She clenched her teeth and tears welled up in her eyes. She said she couldn't accept it even if he apologized. J-Run said that she forced the #1 guildmaster, who towered over them all, to apologize to them, the regular players, and she succeeded. Hyujin Shin, looking down, said that if she wanted to take his life for this, he would not mind. He said that he had to tell them the truth. Closing his eyes, he said that everything that happened was under the control of the power behind him, and he did not organize anything. He said that the threat they face in the future is not something they can solve with a simple apology from him. Longface asked what he was saying and if he thought they were fools. He said that he is trying to avoid responsibility because he is the #1 guildmaster of the guild. And at the same time he says that he is not the one who makes decisions. Xiao Lan stopped him and said that he was not lying. She said that the item she uses is capable of more than controlling the player's intentions in the game, and it is capable of forcing the players to voice their true intentions. She said he didn't lie. Longface asked in amazement that the mastermind who injured them was not him. Xiao Lan silently gritted her teeth and frowned. Hyujin Shin said that he always thought that all black market artifacts were evil cheating methods, and he never thought that there could be an artifact like this that could force a person to show their true heart. He said that despite this, cheating in the game is wrong. Looking at the item in his hand, he said that this type of balance-destroying method would result in management banning their account, and he was no exception. The main character exclaimed in amazement. He wondered if Kyujin Shin's near-invincible performance during their duel could be the effect of using a black market item. Kyujin Shin said that he had already thought it all through and he was ready to accept his punishment. A blue portal appeared behind him and he said that before that he would give them a gift. He said that this portal-like thing has the ability to change the traces of using a black market item once. Kyujin Shin said that by throwing their black market item inside, they would be able to avoid management's detection and avoid being banned. Xiao Lan repeated the words about one time in amazement. Kyujin Shin, closing his eyes, smiled and said that he was tired of living a life in the game that I control, and leaving this game is also a kind of release. He said to think of it as him accepting responsibility for the damage her companion suffered. The main character shouted at Xiao Lan to do as he says because there were 7 minutes left before the update. He told her, since Kyujin Shin himself said so, to do it. He said that by the time the upgrades begin, it will be too late. Jae-run shouted at her to take advantage of the opportunity. Kyujin Shin told Lengxi that he couldn't defeat him even using cheats and he was satisfied with his defeat. He said, using this thrilling deal as the stage for his exit from Heavenland wouldn't be bad either. Longface shouted to Xiao Lan that there were only 3 minutes left. Xiao Lan grabbed the Kyujin Shin item. Everyone present exclaimed in amazement, and she threw the object into the blue portal. Kyujin Shin exclaimed that this was his black market item. He asked why. Xiao Lan said since he is not a mastermind, he should not be the one to bear the responsibility. She said it was her war. The NPC guard was shrouded in pixels. The update time has arrived. The servers will now enter updating mode. All players will be forcibly logged out. The world around began to crumble. Longface called out to Xiao Lan. Xiao Lan, shrouded in pixels, turned around. She said goodbye to everyone with a smile. The dialog box says, all players, please immediately log out of the game. Players in the middle of a mission will be forcibly teleported to the mission hall. Any loss incurred will be automatically compensated after the update. The upcoming update will also address some game bugs and handling of violations. Heavenland will usher in the largest scale and most complex update ever. Lingxi in real life opened his eyes in amazement. The dialog box says, all adventurers and players, please stay tuned. The main character rose from his seat. He went to the window through which the bright sun was shining. He received a call from Coco Lee, who asked him if he was back in reality. She said that due to the update, 1,000 Autumns withdrew their troops from the main battlefield of the Guild War before going offline, and it looks like they will have a draw again this time. She said everyone had already agreed to head to the Stillwater's house to discuss what would happen next. Coco Lee asked when he would come. The main character said that he won't go there at first because he has something to do. He asked her to help him investigate something. The evening sky stretched over the hospital. Neurology ward, room 6. Lingxi greeted the nurse and said that he would like to know the current condition of the patient in this room. The nurse asked if he was part of his family. The main character replied that he was his friend. The nurse said the patient's current condition could be considered stable, but he was not showing signs of awakening. She said it was due to a craniocerebral injury, and he's been diagnosed as a vegetable. Lingxi thought that anti-mainstream was seriously injured this time. He thought that it was not surprising that Xiao Lan wanted to avenge him even though she would receive a ban, and the current situation was also caused by him. The main character thought that he was largely responsible for what happened, and after the game was updated, he needed to find Jae-run and see if he could help. He thought that besides this, there is the power of the family behind Kyujin Shin and he needs to take the time to discuss it with Narlo. The girl approached the receptionist and said that she had come to pay for the hospital room. The nurse asked which room. The girl answered, room 6 of the neurology ward. Hearing these words, the main character looked at her in amazement. The girl had pink hair and was wearing a yellow work uniform. Ling Si asked, Zio Lan. The girl turned around. After some time they walked down the street. The main character told her not to worry because he would bear all of anti-mainstream's medical expenses in the future. Zio Lan, taking off her helmet, said that she was worried about where she could get money for non-mainstream treatment, and his help makes everything easier. Ling Si said with a smile that he thought she would politely refuse. He said that this was indeed the style of Zio Lan that he met in the game. Zio Lan turned around and said with a smile that in order to pay anti-mainstream's medical expenses, they worked hard, and all the reward he gave them for the previous guild war was spent on a black market item. She said that now that he wants to help them, they can relax, and wearing these work clothes every day is not easy. Ling Si said with a serious face that the reason for this incident was his responsibility, and she did not need to worry about the expenses, including the living expenses of the anti-mainstream family. Zio Lan said that there is no need for that. She said that anti-mainstream is an orphan. The main character opened his mouth in confusion. Zio Lan said that she was also an orphan, and perhaps because they had the same life experiences, they could build trust and play the game together. She said, this is probably why she was so up in her head in the game. Ling Si looked at her sadly. Zio Lan said that even if she paid the price by banning the account, she still could not punish the true mastermind who caused anti-mainstream harm. And in the real world, an ordinary person like her is even more powerless. The main character told her not to worry because he would come up with a way to punish the mastermind who had hurt them all. Removing the elastic from her hair, Zio Lan said that he did not need to be held responsible for what happened, because none of them blamed him, and only thanks to the fact that he started the second phase of the guild war, they were able to find out the reason behind all this. She said that they, ordinary players, are already happy that they forced the guildmaster of the guild number to kneel, and she knows that dealing with the mastermind's forces behind this is very dangerous. She said that he needs to force himself for their sake, and in the eyes of these people, they, ordinary people, are not worthy of even a mention. Because, after all, this is a great disparity between the slums and the affluent district, and it's also a true phenomenon in the world today. Zio Lan said that she was already used to it. Letting down her pink hair, she said that she thought she could make a better life for herself by getting ahead in the game. But now even that path was blocked. She said that it seems like she really is a failure because she couldn't play the game well, and her real life isn't going well either. Sighing, she said that now she could only work hard, carrying bricks. The main character said that this is not so. Zio Lan turned around. Ling Si said that in his eyes they are the winners, who got the most out of this. Smiling, he said that the friendship they had built was the most valuable thing in the entire game. He said the connections in this life make him think, perhaps, the awakened abilities of Heavenland were born to bear these precious things. Zio Lan looked at him slightly astonished. Frowning, she asked what he meant by this life. The main character, exclaiming in amazement, said that he simply misspoke. Zio Lan said that he even stutters. She told him if he was hiding something, just say it straight. Turning around, Ling Si told her not to give up, and if she was banned, management would release a list of banned accounts, and then they would talk again. Zio Lan said it was suspicious. She asked why he was leaving suddenly. The main character told her not to give up and wait for results, but he is busy, so he leaves. Zio Lan smiled after him. Looking at his back, she thought that when she first met him, she would never have imagined that he would become a person who could influence Heavenland so much, and perhaps he was truly the chosen one who went back in time. The main character returned home. The old man said that he came very late. He asked if I could cook him dinner. Ling Si said that there is no need for this because he is not hungry. The old man said that he had not seen his dear granddaughter for a long time. He asked how she was doing. Smiling, the main character said that she was just relaxing. He thought the old man missed Dumpling quite a lot. Sitting on the bed in his room, he made a phone call. Stillwaters was reading a book and noticed that his phone rang. Seeing that it was Ling Si, he said that he was very late. The main character told him that Coco Lee told him that they were summarizing what happened in this guild war. After apologizing, he said that he did not come because he had business. Narlo happily asked if it was Ling Si. Stillwaters said everything was fine, and Coco Lee said that he was looking into J-Run and the others' situation so they understand. He said that after learning that he would not come, Tilly's and Dark Feather also used the fact that they were busy as an excuse and did not come. He said that due to him playing too much Heavenland, Ryuko needed to go do his homework, and it seems that him going to deal with Thousand Autumns alone made them feel uninvolved in the second phase guild wars. The protagonist asked if this was true since they had worked so hard to defend against the Thousand Autumns attack. He said that he really needed to thank them all for tolerating his willfulness this time. Stillwaters said he needed to thank Tana because she was the biggest contributor to the defensive war. Narlo exclaimed that he had not seen him for so long. He asked if he had forgotten about him. He said that he really wanted to participate in this guild war, but Stillwater's personal doctor told him that he could not enter the game until his body recovered. Lingxi said that his personal doctor was right, plus his family was behind Thousand Autumns this time too, so it was good that he didn't participate. He said that he wanted to ask him some questions about his family's powers. He said he hoped he didn't mind. Narlo said that if it was him, he would tell him everything he wanted to know. Stillwaters told the protagonist that, due to the live broadcast recording him defeating Kyujin Shin, Coco Lee hopes that she can use this to start a large wave of momentum for Penumbra after the update is done. He asked if he had anything to say about this. The protagonist said that because the update was too strange this time, some of his original plans were disrupted and he needed time to organize his thoughts. He said they would discuss this another time. He said that he knows that he is thinking about putting Penumbra at the top of the game. Interrupting, Stillwaters said that he understood everything, and he believed that as long as Penumbra had her, it was only a matter of time before reaching the top of Heavenland, so he was in no hurry at all. He said that he would tell Coco Lee to cancel the plan. He said that he knows that he has more important things on his mind. Lingxi thanked him for his understanding. Stillwaters said that he received some inside news, and the list of bug fixes and banned accounts will be released in 2 days. He better pay attention to it. The main character said he understood him. He thought with a smile that he was very reliable. Narlo said that now it was their turn to talk. Lingxi said that he is quite energetic. 2 days later, Xiao Lan's phone in the warehouse rang. Lingxi called her and she asked what happened. The main character said that the game's update announcement is out. He said that she and Kyujin Shin did not appear on the list of banned players. Sometime before the update starts, Mijin asked where this girl might appear. He said it looked like he needed to hack into the player database to find her. Walking through the Thousand Autumns headquarters, he wondered why he didn't meet a single guard NPC. Noticing that there was only some noise going on in the church, he wondered if they had left the game early. Mijin heard the voice of the main character shouting at Xiao Lan to do as he says because there are only 7 minutes left before the update. And when the update starts and she is banned, it will be too late. Noticing Kyujin Shin, he wondered what was going on here. Seeing Xiao Lan, Mijin thought that he had found her. Xiao Lan told Kyujin Shin that since he is not a mastermind, he should not be held responsible for this. She said she doesn't care if she gets banned and only the guilty person should be held accountable. She shouted that this was her war. Mijin blushed slightly and thought that her name was Xiao Lan. An optical interface appeared in front of his eye, and he thought that it would change her game data. Xiao Lan said goodbye to everyone with a smile, surrounded by pixels. Mijin thought that he would not let her get banned.